Jobina, let's start out with a little known fact.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how little known. So this is interesting because the first, we all know, I shouldn't say we all know, but the 1619 Project talks about the first slaves coming to America, but they weren't actually slave. They weren't actually enslaved people. They were actually indentured servants. And this is sad. It's so sad, but also you have to laugh to keep from crying. Because what would happen is these people would serve for some period of time, and people were coming from Europe too as indentured servants. And they would take the servant and what's the other person called? The owner?
The slave master or owner, I guess.
But they weren't slave. Like what before you said there was an indentured servant, and then there was a servant and a servee. They would go to court, and the indentured servant would try to make the case like my time is up. Like
wow.
I've served my time. And at one point, the court was like, no, actually, we're going to grant the servee a lifetime of servitude. Oh, my
goodness. No.
And that was the first slave.
That was the transition to enslavement.
Yeah. So then at one time, there was a group of white and black servants kind of like had a little uprising. And when they went to court, the courts were like, okay, we're going to extend your time of servitude, but you, sir, the black man, you have a lifetime of servitude.
Wow.
And that's how it began. Like that is the roots of slavery.
Wow.
And then at some point later on, there were court cases about children, right? So like if I'm an indentured servant, why is my child
right?
Yeah. But so then the courts had to say, actually, like your children also are in lifetime servitude, and that
began the process. Wow.
American, what we call chattel slavery. Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Hey everyone, this is Luther Palmer.
And I'm Jobina Scott.
And welcome to One Episode Stand, a podcast where each episode we watch and discuss the series premiere of a new television show without spoiling it.
And then, like the Rolling Stones we move on to the next show. Everybody's out here having one-night stands, but we are having one-episode stands.
We love them and leave them. We hit it and quit it. We tap it and scrap it. We smash and dash, but we do it for you, the listeners, to help you figure out what new shows to watch and what to skip. Jobina, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty well. I got to go, I got to be the plus one with my daughter to a Sweet 16 party yesterday, which was so fun.
Okay.
Like I thought I was going to drop her off, and the mom said, no, everybody's invited.
Was it one of those baller Sweet 16s where it's like,
no,
remember that show?
Yeah.
The Sweet 16 show?
I hate those. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I loved it. Like there was no and she's getting a Lamborghini. It was just, it was just a sweet, sweet party.
Okay.
And the young lady is just such a darling, and you could tell she has like a nice group of friends, and it was like everything was really appropriate and nice, and it was just fun to be out with my daughter. So I'm still riding high.
Your daughter's not 16, right?
No, she's not there yet, but we're just friends of the family.
Okay. How old is your daughter?
She's 13.
So we got to reveal too much information.
Right? Okay. You're like, and what's your address?
What is your daughter's mother's maiden name?
Social security number.
Wait a minute. I know your daughter's mother's maiden name.
You do, so don't say it.
Perhaps. All right. So we are here to talk about slavery. I'm sorry.
No.
We're here to talk about... We're here to talk about Kindred.
So this show, Luther... oh, God, crap. How long is the darn show? Luther.
Jimena, you literally have one job.
I have one job. And I had some notes. Couldn't. Is it an hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an hour-ish. I think it's an hour-ish,
Okay, so this is an hour or so show on Hulu. It's set in modern time, but there is some time travel. Not to reveal too much, but there's some time travel in this show.
Definitely a drama, suspense. I would say
suspenseful for sure.
Drama thing. Yeah, the time travel, I was kind of casually watching the show, and when the time travel happened, I was like, wait, what? What's happening here?
This is not for casual watching.
I actually paused the show to go read about the show. Like, let me go read just a little synopsis because I was, I'm like, are we getting into like demonic stuff? Are we getting into, because it wasn't really clear what that first thing was,
Yes.
like she was screaming.
Yes.
And I was like, where are we headed here? I just want to get emotionally prepared for what I'm about to watch. Which leads to, what did you know about the show before we picked it for this podcast?
Nothing. Although because we were choosing more shows on Hulu, I did see it. Like,
okay,
I'm getting better. I did
warming
see
up to
it,
Hulu.
warming up to Hulu, but I knew absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah, I didn't either until I went to go read. Like, what am I watching?
Right.
What are we getting into? And yeah, it's actually this adaptation of a novel by Octavia Butler. Have you read anything from Octavia Butler?
No, not a thing.
She's a sci-fi writer, but she's a black woman. And I'm not going to say she's the only black woman in this space.
The field,
clearly she's not. But she is the preeminent, she is the person who got the most notoriety from doing it. I don't know if Octavia Butler's still with us, actually.
I don't either.
But I have been meaning to read some of her stuff because she centers black characters. She talks about black futurism. So she is kind of I would call her a pioneer. She was an early pioneer in this space, which is interesting because there were, in this adaptation, there's cell phones and it's set in modern day. So they've had to literally adapt to modern times, which is interesting. Speaking of cell phones, in the first 12 minutes of this show, Dana is the main character. Like, her cell phone is battery dead twice.
Yes.
And I'm like, get your life together.
She doesn't
like,
charge it. She is, Dana's falling asleep and just not plugging in her phone, which
and it reminded me,
I can sympathize with.
You are a phone dead person?
Sometimes. Not as often as Dana, but yeah.
I live my life by one creed: always be charging. ABC.
ABC,
always be charging in my car, at work, at home. I'm on my phone all the time. So
same.
I have to be charging. And it reminded me of my mother. My mother she's a phone dead person. She's gotten better, but like when cell phones first came out, like she would go days with a dead cell phone. And we're like, Mom.
No.
And I could forgive her because, she's a woman of a certain age. But like Dana is early, mid-20s, something like that. Like, get your life together.
Yeah, her issue is that her life is a wreck.
Charge your phone. Okay, so what is the show about?
Well, so this show is about Dana, who is a young woman who just moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. She wants to be a writer for TV, particularly soap operas. In fact, she talks about the fact that soap operas are the most watched genre of television programming, of any other type of programming. And she makes a kind of tongue-in-cheek joke that the reason that no one knows that is because most of the watchers are women and no one cares what women are watching.
Right. Good point.
So, she wants to write for television, but she also appears to be a young lady who, to your point, has not yet attained any career aspirations, has not really gotten herself together. But here she is in LA where she has family trying to pursue her dreams.
Do you watch soap operas?
I did. When I was growing up, this is ridiculous. When I was in high school, I watched soap operas all of the time. Like, I was definitely a Young and the Restless.
Oh, really?
Oh, Victor, the whole Young and the Restless scene, Jack, Nikki, all the characters. I was super into it. And I even had a summer job where all the ladies over lunch would watch Young and the Restless. So I loved soap operas when I was in high school.
Okay. I used to watch Days of Our Lives.
Oh, you are. Now, I think you're ABC versus, I don't know what, CBS. Yeah, I think Days of Our Lives came on ABC.
I used to watch Days of Our Lives. And I think my cousin got me into it. I mean, this was high school.
Yeah, high school was the time.
I used to record it on my VCR.
So
I used to set the schedule on my VCR so I could watch Days of Our Lives. And then, like, every now and then, I don't even know if it's still on. I think it might still be on.
Oh, I'm probably.
Every now and then, I'll just
pretty
watch
sure.
an episode just to remember and just be like, oh my goodness, this is so ridiculous.
Well, and the fact that some of the characters that were on the show when I was in high school are still playing this character. It's just, it's incredible. Unbelievable.
Now, I watched it, and my cousin watched it. I think my brother watched it too. We watched it because the women were beautiful.
They were gorgeous.
I mean, that was, I mean, the stories were
I was
comical.
watching it for the storyline. You were watching it for the babes.
Oh, no. We were watching it. We were watching it for the women. 100. Like, I would say 99.9% women, 0.1% like, oh,
what was happening?
Wow, this is, wow. He's alive again? What? Didn't he die on the cliffside?
No. Oh, no.
Right. So Dana, our hero, is, and what the description said is, violently transported back in time.
Yes.
And she's transported back into the times of slavery. And we talked about this before. What show we talked about time travel? We talked about black people time traveling.
We're not going.
This is a very risky proposition.
Right.
But yeah, she's transported back, and she in the first episode she's transported back, I think 3 times.
Yeah.
And it takes her a while to realize where she is, what time frame she is, and yeah, it's slavery.
Yeah, it's not good.
Watch your back.
Right. You're not safe.
So I'm trying to think, what else is the show? Oh, the show is also about, she, like you said, she moves from Brooklyn to LA, so she's kind of meeting people in LA. She meets this guy. Dana's black. She meets this white guy, which the racial issue doesn't come up that much in the first episode.
Not at all.
Because the show is about slavery, I gotta think that race is gonna play a part in their relationship at some point too. I mean, her neighbors are white, so I think this show has a lot of racial undertones in the first episode that will come, I think, be more prevalent going forward. She meets him on some dating app, right? Or she meets him in person, and then she sees him on the dating app, and they connect. Yeah. And it reminded me, have you seen all the ads for this new Christian dating app?
No.
Yeah, it's a new, like, for Christians only, and they talk about, oh, you already know the person's values if they're on this thing, and I'm thinking, no, you don't. Like, do you? But do you remember that other one, farmersonly.com?
Yes, I remember that. That is funny.
So we're going to this space now where, it's like very niche.
You can
dating
customize
apps,
your dating experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like orthodontistonly.com.
No. Now the ads that really crack me up are the ones that are for like 50 and older. And they're like, how would I ever find someone? You can go online. And I'm like, oh, gee.
Oh, there's one for single parents. Have you seen that one?
No.
Yeah, there's one specifically for single parents. And, they do the whole thing.
That's
like, people
cool.
know your schedule's busy. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, who knows, though, if you want to be dating a single parent when you are a single parent.
I mean, I would imagine the person does understand your constraints and time constraints, and I don't know. I mean,
they're going to be more up for going to the zoo. Like, they're just.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. How does the show look, sound, and feel? Let's go there.
Well, it's interesting because her living space is really spare. Like, right, she has almost nothing in her house.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at her in her house, like, you can definitely tell she's, 1, in a state of transition, 2, maybe doesn't have her life together. And then, of course, like, when she's transported back to slavery, it is appropriately dark. Like, it's ominous. Right. You can tell that something really bad is going to happen, I think.
Well, even in the first scene, the scene, the television show opens up where she's like on the ground, confused
and wounded,
and she like gets herself into the bath, and then the police come and do a wellness check, and it's very ominous, like it's very scary, and she's saying, no, dark. I don't need any help, and the police are yelling at her. I mean, that's how it opens. So it's one of these shows where you start at the end and they kind of go back and say, like, how did we get here to this point? So that was kind of like a very thriller. And, these police wellness checks, as a black person,
don't send anybody to my house. Right?
Do not send the police to a black person's house for a wellness wellness check. Oh my goodness.
No.
And it kind of plays out that way. They kind of insist on coming in, and then that's when we go back to how this, her sort of first moving. The other funny thing is she moved from Brooklyn to LA. And when she gets there, she kind of throws out these records, like literal records. Have you got caught up in this new trend of buying records, like vinyl records?
No. I mean, I understand why it makes people feel cool. I don't have a record player. I'm not buying any vinyl records. All the music you could want is available, for streaming. I don't know. I'm just not into it.
Yeah, I guess I get it, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Back to a simpler time, right? But I like to skip songs, right? Or I like to fast forward songs and replay songs.
Yeah.
And with the vinyl records, you have to pick up the needle and put it back and try to figure out where the song begins. I don't know. Maybe vinyl records go back to a time where it encourages you to just sit and listen to a whole record.
Okay.
I think my brother's into vinyl records. I'm not into it. I don't see myself going there.
Well, when I was little, my parents would put on Bible stories on a record for my sister and myself to fall asleep to. And my sister would immediately be like, and the Lord said, and she would be dead asleep. I would be awake listening to the whole thing, completely enraptured.
Really? Riveted. And then I would be deathly afraid of that noise that the record makes when it's over and no one is there to pick up the needle. And I would wake my sister up because I was too afraid to even get out of the bed. I would wake my sister up and be like, go get mommy. She'd be like, I hate you. Oh, no. But I remember those days so vividly. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I grew up with records.
Oh, I
don't
did
know
for
that we
sure.
grew up with records.
Oh, I did.
I think my parents had some in a box somewhere, but I think my dad was pretty early to the tape player movement.
Okay.
So I think he abandoned his records pretty quick.
Oh, we did 8 tracks, tapes. We made the whole progression as a family.
Well, I mean, real talk. You are significantly
Please stop
older
it.
than
I am
me,
not.
So you have lived
and yet we were
a
at
different
college
life.
at the same time. I guess you were like a Doogie Howser type college
You
student.
lived an entirely in a different era, really.
No.
Speaking of era, this other thing came up because she doesn't have a license, right?
No.
And this comes up, when people are from New York, this comes up all the time. I don't drive, so I never got a license. And this is gonna make me sound old, but like kids today, it just doesn't seem like they want to.
They don't
want to
drive.
Licenses.
They don't care. No.
They don't. They have no
They're
motivation.
not in any
every now and
hurry.
then some will, but they're not in a hurry. I was getting my driver's test on my birthday, like the day I turned 16. I wanted my license, and kids today are like, I'm fine without it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
good.
true. I don't understand it.
I think it's our fault as parents because we will drive these kids around.
We drive them everywhere.
And my parents were like, when y'all turn 16, this taxi
Don't
service
even look at us.
Don't even look. Right. So then my sister, who was a couple years older than me, she had to taxi me and my brother around. And then when my brother got his license, he had to taxi me around. Like my parents were like, what is the point of having children if they're not driving each other, like if they're not driving themselves to their events? So I don't know what's going on with these kids today. I do not know.
I don't get it.
Okay. What deeper themes came up for you as you watched the show?
Well, there's clearly something going on with a family dynamic that's broken, right?
Yeah.
So she is able to move from Brooklyn to LA and buy a home because she inherited her grandmother's brownstone in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And yet when she moves to LA, you realize that one, her mother didn't get this house. Her aunt who lives in LA did not get this house. And there's definitely some feelings about that situation. Big feelings. They think she's visiting. They don't even realize that she has moved there. They're like, how long are you going to be in town? And she's like, oh, I'm here. I bought a house. And they're like, with what money?
Right.
And basically she's like, with your money that you should have gotten, but I did.
Yeah. There were some deeper family themes when because she's orphaned.
She is.
And we won't say how she got orphaned, but she's orphaned. And when she's having these, I mean, she sort of thinks she's having some sleepwalking or nightmare or being transported. Like her mother appears in the slave times.
Yes.
And I think one of the first sort of mysteries for the audience to solve is what is happening.
What happened? Yeah.
Like, first of all, what is she back in slavery? Is it sleepwalking? What's happening there? And then the second mystery is what happened to her mother and her father and her aunt who's in LA. Like what is the family dynamic there? There's clearly some tension and, money's involved. Oftentimes I think, so my mother's family was broke and my father's family, they weren't broke. They had a trade. They were bricklayers. But I often think about how when your family has nothing, that's one less thing to come between you.
That's right?
True. Like when you don't have money to fight over, it's just one less thing that can be a problem. And we had nothing. Like our family didn't have much. So my mother's family is like super close. My dad's family is also close, but not quite as close as my mother's family, who literally, I mean, they were poor black people in the country. And that time that they spent just made them very, very close. And so I don't have stories of, I mean, I think Dana in the show has one aunt. I think she has one. Yeah,
she has one living relative.
Aunt. Yeah, one living relative. I just cannot identify with that at all because my family is large. And I meet people sometimes who are like, oh, I don't know any of my cousins. And I'm thinking, how do you not know your cousins?
Yeah.
Like, I know all 500,000 of my cousins. Like, I know them all. Like, I know every single one. And I feel very fortunate. Like, I feel like that is worth more literally than gold to me.
Absolutely. Well, and my family, we were spread out all over the country, but my parents were so serious about ensuring that we knew our great aunts, like, we just traveled all the time to be with family. And clearly this family's got some issues going on. And her uncle, who is her aunt's wife, really has some issues with her. When he found out she bought that house, he couldn't even sit at the table with her. He had to get up and go outside. He was so angry.
Like, settle down.
Right. It's okay. Fella. It was never your money.
It was right. It was
right.
never
You
your
married
money.
into the family. Get over it.
Yeah. Okay, more or less. What do you want to see more of or less of?
Yeah, I don't know that I can answer this question because I was very confused by this show. Like the premises were a little bit off for me when she time travels while her boyfriend is at the house. And he's like, I saw you disappear. I believe you. I was like, did we jump too quick to having someone believe her? Because I feel like that has to be part of it. If you were time traveling, how are you going to get anybody to believe?
Well, she disappeared though, right? Like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like it was too convenient. It was too convenient that she disappeared.
Him to be there at the right time.
Right. I was like, shouldn't part of this be her desperately trying to get somebody to believe her? And in one episode, she had a witness. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she because she had tried to tell him. She was like, I felt like I was sleepwalking, but then she would say like, but I was there. Like I wasn't sleepwalking. I was actually somewhere else. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. Right. And then she does do it in front of him. I was okay with that.
Yeah,
I was okay with that.
I wasn't.
What I want to see more of, and this is a nuanced thing that I noticed. One of the times where she goes back to slavery days, she does CPR on this little kid. And I was thinking, I'm pretty sure CPR wasn't a thing.
No one knew what that was.
Right?
He was.
And I was like, wow, like kind of thinking, like juxtaposing my knowledge of current events and going back in slavery days. I would be some sort of a god, right?
Oh,
like I would be
right.
like for me to know things and see things, and like I could predict who the next president was going to be. Like I would be some superpower, like some superhuman.
Oh, you know what stuck out to me is like when she was transporting in the clothes that she was wearing. I can just imagine people looking at her like, what kind of nightgown is that? Like, what are you doing?
Right. What is that made of?
What are you wearing?
Right. Do you know CPR?
I do not. I do not. Like, I missed the bus on the training. Like, who was offering the training and when, in my experience, should I have gotten it? Because I missed it.
I'm pretty sure you can get free CPR training these days.
I need to get
It's
it.
one of those things, like playing the piano and doing CPR. Those are the things I feel like I should have learned to do
Absolutely
those
should have
things.
learned
And
to
it's
do
never
both.
too late, but I'm still
I feel like I
not
know how to
doing
do
it.
the Heimlich.
Do you though?
Notice I said I
from
feel
watching
like,
television shows, right? Like I think we all feel like that because we saw television
I
shows.
think I know how to do the Heimlich, but I would say don't trust me in any crisis. Just save your life.
like if I'm in a restaurant, does anyone know the Heimlich maneuver? I would wait around to see does anyone else is anyone confident?
Right.
Like if no one's
if it's
confident,
going to be
then
no one else,
do it.
I'll do it. Because I don't want you to die, but.
Like I want to see more of the juxtaposition of this. Did you see that movie 12 Years a Slave?
Yes. Oh.
What I found profound about that is he was free and then he was like transported into slavery overnight.
Yes.
And I think this show has some of those themes of like, here's a person who is, I mean, not only were they free,
But
they were living
completely modern.
hundreds of years later.
Yes.
And then like in the blink of an eye, they're
instant.
transported back into slavery days. Where are you on this whole, like in the black community, there's some debate about, we don't need another slave movie. Like some people are dissatisfied with the overrepresentation of slaves and slavery in black art, black media.
I'm with
How do you
them
feel about that?
100%.
Really?
I'm with them. I'm like, why do we keep entertaining people with our like oppression, enslavement, and making that such a significant part of the narrative of who we are? I did 12 Years a Slave had to be made. Like it was just an incredible film.
Right.
But you can miss me on a lot of this stuff for sure. I'm just like, why do we keep doing this? And who's entertained by it?
I'm here. Me.
You are.
I am here for all the slave narratives. Like I am here for I don't think you could make enough movies about it. I think that slavery was such a profound and prolonged experience in American history. I just think there's millions of stories to tell. I don't think we can exhaust the stories, and I don't think that other people, when I say other people, I think we know what we're talking about. I don't think other people understand the shit show that slavery really. I had a friend of mine recently said to me, we were talking, we had a long discussion about it's capitalism and Marxism, all these things. And he was talking about some Russian leader from 100 years ago. And I said to him, oh, what about George Washington? Like, was he an asshole? And my friend was like, well, except for the slavery thing, he was a good guy. And I was like,
that was the big thing. No.
You can't, except for the slavery. Well, and to me, that comes from this mindset of, do you know what slavery really was? And he even said, well, slavery has existed in every continent and it's existed for thousands of years. And I'm like, no. Like American and North American and chattel slavery, it was completely different than anything seen on the face of the earth.
That's right.
Starting with the fact that a person's children and their children's children, there's a forever.
Slaves.
Yes. Yeah. And I just feel like we need more movies. And maybe they're not watching these movies.
Luther, that's the thing. They're not watching them. And when they are watching them, they are not learning the lessons that you're talking about. They're just being entertained by it. I'm sure many, many people are like, oh, I get to hear the N-word in this pick a number of times. I just don't think people are watching and they're not learning the lessons. That's why I say just... Let's address it I mean, there's a whole other thing of addressing it in curriculum and in classrooms. Let's try to get to it there, but the movies are just I can't take it anymore.
Well, and I will go back and I'll say I still enjoy the narratives myself because I just think there's so many stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a bad movie about enslavement that I've seen. Like I've enjoyed every one because each one attacks a little bit of a different angle. So.
Now, there is a movie about slavery that my husband really enjoys, and it plays a lot in our house. I'm curious to know what you think about this one. He loves Django. Like
does he?
Loves Django, and I am like, do we have to watch it again?
I like most of Django. My problem with Django is that they made Samuel L. Jackson's character, the black man, he was the the ringleader of sorts of slavery in that household, and I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, he was still a slave, and they made him the villain. Like, they made him the villain, and I, I would argue with my cousins about this because they're like, oh no, they didn't. When there's a movie with a villain, the main villain dies last, right? The big villain dies last. You have all the henchmen, and the slave owner died a somewhat, he just died and he was gone.
Yeah.
And then it was about killing Samuel L. Jackson. And I feel like a slave movie where the black man, where a slave himself is the main villain, I just thought, like, man. And that was Quentin Tarantino. He's a non-black person. I just felt like that did not sit well with me at all. Yeah. But I enjoyed the movie up until that point. Like, I thought it was a good movie. It was a love story. It was kind of a love story in there. I could spend another 20 minutes talking about that.
Well,
movie.
I'm going to tell you, just don't come to our house for movie night because it's going to be on.
Even the hero. All right, I'll say this one last thing about Django. Even the white hero in that movie, who people liked, and people, they're teaming together to go do this thing. They weren't teaming together because even he bought Jamie Foxx, right? He even said, "I'm going to capitalize on the fact that you're a slave, and you have to do what I say." Right, so they weren't really a team.
Yeah, they weren't
played
equals.
it like a team.
Yeah, no.
But they were not equals, right? So, okay. All right,
Anyway.
enough.
This is about Kindred.
This is about, Kindred. That's right. All right. So, marry, kill, or one night stand. I'm going to ask you about, what was the white character's name?
The boyfriend, Kevin.
The boyfriend, Kevin. I'm going to ask you about Kevin. Since you have an extensive history of interracial relationships.
Oh, no. Kevin was a nice guy. I feel like if there was something in between this, I don't want a one-night stand with him, but I also don't want to marry him. I don't want to kill him.
So
if there was one date with him, I would
no,
choose that.
No,
I can't.
There's not that.
Then I'm just going to
There's
kill
not
him
that.
because I don't want anything with him. He's not that interesting. No.
Yeah, he is. No, he's in a band. He says early on when they're in their interaction, like, I was in a band. And I thought, man, when I was younger, I thought, if I could say that to a woman, I could get any girl. I just thought, like, I would be the man if I was like, yeah, I'm in a band. We play jazz, or we play funk, or the blues. I just thought that was a lady killer line. But that did not work on you.
It did not. So now I'm going to give you Dana. Marry, kill, or one night stand. Dana's a mess.
Dana's attractive, but Dana was attractive to me. That beautiful brown skin.
She's gorgeous. Isn't she gorgeous?
Man, she is beautiful.
And then
But
also
Dana
the
has
dress
trauma.
that she wore to the dinner.
Yeah.
She also has
Yes.
a beautiful
Beautiful
shape.
style.
Yes, she's awesome.
Beautiful shape. But Dana she doesn't have a direction in life. Dana is just floating around. She is floating around watching soap operas. She wants to be a soap opera writer, but has no experience, has no contacts, has no plan into how to get into it.
Just watching them.
I'm gonna one night stand Dana.
You're gonna
I'm gonna one night
stand
stand her. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to tell you to marry her because she has a lot of money. I mean, you could help her.
Now wait a minute.
You could help her get her
that.
life together.
No, I'm gonna marry. I'm
You're
gonna marry her.
I was going to say,
I
you need to get to the courthouse immediately.
Have you heard that joke about the first time you marry for love, the second time you marry for money? So yeah. If she has a lot of money, I am going to marry Dana. Yes. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with this show?
No.
All right. Well, that is it.
That's
Thank you all for listening to One Episode Stand.
Wait, Luther, are you going to watch it again?
Oh, right.
You're like, that's it. It's a wrap.
Goodbye, everyone. Okay, the question, yes. Are you? Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm in. I am in. Like I told you, I love the slave narratives. I'm interested to see how they juxtapose and do these things. So I'm definitely going to be watching this show.
Okay, you already know my answer.
No?
Yeah, it's
Jobina.
a no for me. No.
On.
I can't spend any more time with Kindred. And I like this lead actress, Mallory Johnson. This is actually her first major role. So
really?
Yeah, she signed on to this role, and then she ended up in a show on Apple TV that aired before this. But this is her first major role. So I am cheering for her, but I don't want to watch this show.
Sometimes it'd be your own people.
Can't even support your own people.
All skin folk and kinfolk. All right, are we ready? Can I say the outro now?
Now you can. Yes.
All right, thank you for listening to What Episode Stand. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the podcast to be alerted when new episodes drop. If you are listening on iTunes, you have the ability to give us a rating, which helps other people find our show. The theme music is Freedom by Paradox Hip Hop, and we'll be back next time with another series premiere. Jobina, every story has a moral. What was the moral of this episode?
Time travel is not for Black people. It's just not. It is not for Black people. It's just,
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Any time that you're going to go back to is likely to be worse than the time in which you are living. Unless you are, if you dial back to like 2009, right? Like, right? Right.
I'm not even sure 2009. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like the Obama years. Like if you could just tap into, if you could click back to that. That is really the only time travel I would advise. Other than that, it's not for you. It's not.
All right, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.